Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Dolphin reel. It is a ball bearing reel, Dolphin 580, with an anodized spool. This reel was made in Japan, and I think it's a pretty nice reel, actually. When I first acquired it, I was surprised that it was a worm gear reel. And so I was really excited, but when I really felt at first as though it were on par with the Shakespeare 5062, and I'm wrong. It was not. I took the two apart side by side, and it's nowhere near the quality reel that was. So, but it's still a nice reel. So let's get started on this. We're going to start off by taking off the drag knob and removing the spool, and it's got a very small drag system in it, so that was a bit of a disappointment in itself right there. Let's go ahead, take the handle off. There we go. I'll turn this over, and we're going to remove these two screws out of here. Now normally I'm using my electric screwdriver because my wrist can't handle it, but these screws here are pretty daggone short, so they don't take much. All right, got those out, take the side plate off, and here is the internals of this reel. And I'm going to slip the handle back on for a second, just so you can see the internal workings of this reel as it turns. The gear, the main gear turns, which turns on this helical gear, which is also known as a worm gear, and that's operating as the pinion for this. It's got a center post here, which is operating this arm, which moves the axle shaft, the axle shaft in and out. As the axle shaft moves in and out, that moves the spool up and down for line lay. Okay, pretty simple reel actually, but actually very well made. Okay, so let's go ahead and start taking this apart. I'll start off by pulling this pin. Go. With the pin out, we can take the axle shaft out, like so. Okay, now, oh, hopefully I didn't tighten this. No, I didn't. Good. Take the handle back off. And there's not really any reason to take this C-clip off right here, or E-clip off, to take this out. You should be able to just pull it out, unless you've got a lot of sand and something where but all you have to do if you take this off is take that off, and this arm comes right off, and then you can snap it back into place. But I don't see any point in that. This one's really clean, and it looks really nice. But that's our main gear for this reel. Let's take a look here what we got. Okay, that looks like about a 10 millimeter. Let's see if I'm right. Hey, I got it right. Okay, we're going to loosen that nut, take it out, and we're going to remove this locking device here that holds the spool locked in place. There we go. And now we've got two small screws here, which are going to hold the pinion gear or worm gear in. And they are little screws. Okay, pull this out. There's our keeper. Here's our spacer. And there's no shim washer there. And there is our bearing. Okay. And then there is the pinion gear. let's take a look at the anti-reverse now. And here's the lever for it. When you activate this lever, it pulls this over, and that allows this to drop down. This is spring-loaded. If you look in here, we're going to blow this up so you can see it. Okay. It has a spring right here that's hooked on here, and that spring comes down, wraps around twice, and then runs up this sidewall over here, and that forces this arm down. Okay. There's another spring right here, which is supplying the tension on this arm. Okay, and it's just one spring. It attaches here, comes, wraps around once, and goes to right there. The E-clip for it is right there. So when you flip this back in the other position like this, that heavy spring forces this arm up, and it didn't do a very good job of it, just ended it. Let's try it again. There it goes. Forces this arm up. When it backs up, now this arm right here can no longer catch on this gear right here. And that gear is your anti-reverse cog. Okay? And that's what that rides on. Let's throw this together real quick. I'll put that in and just put this in so you can see it. I put that bearing on the wrong side. Bearing goes up here. Okay, slip this in like this, and you can see that gear right there, or cog, will ride on that gear when we flip this lever the other way, like that. There's your anti-reverse. It'll allow it to turn this way, but it won't allow it to turn this way. It's a very simplistic design, but it is noisy. Hear it? As long as your anti-reverse is engaged, it's going to make that noise. Okay? Disengage it. Now it can turn either way. All right. This reel is clean, so, well, mostly clean. I have not done anything with this. That is a really strong spring in there, and I'm a little bit leery about messing with it. But you guys know how I am. So we're going to see about taking this apart. We'll start off by taking this nut off over here. That one doesn't fit. So let's try this one. There we go. Okay, we'll remove that nut. And there is a lock washer on there. Set that down. We're going to bring this back out just a little bit. Okay, so now that we can see our nut and our lock washer, we're going to lower this down, and we're going to stick the lock washer on and the nut on. Okay, and that should allow us to possibly remove this other side, but it doesn't look like it, huh? I believe that is screwed in there, but I don't want to mar it up. Oh, there it goes. There we go. All right. So it is just a hook. I just didn't want to get them out of there. There we go, like that. You gotta get in just the right position to get it to come out. Wow. And somehow I got lucky a while ago and it just fell out. There we go. Okay. But that brings us down to this guy. And man, there's a lot of tension on this. So we're going to move this out. Like that. Okay. Now there's not so much tension on it. That's going to be pretty easy. So we're going to take this apart and reset the screw and then put it back together. Okay. Let's undo the screw. See how this is put together. A lot of old grease in there. What is that? Nothing. Okay, there's the spring. The spring's going to hook on there. Okay. Yeah, this spring needed to be cleaned up anyway. Okay. And wipe as much as we can off with the rag, and then go back to it with cotton swab. All right. Now, if you look, there's really not much to this assembly right here. You've got this spring. I'm not going to take this off. I know I usually do, but there's not a point. Anybody can see this one. Okay. The hardest part of this would be to reset the spring. And I believe you could do that simply by grabbing it right here and lifting it off. There you go. See? That's all you got to do to reset the spring. And this just unscrews and unscrews. So I'm going to put that back. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to wipe off the spring. It's a pretty heavy spring. And we'll set it in here. Now, if you'll look, it's got the hook on top and this side post spring at the bottom. We're going to set that in place like that. And now this guy, let me wipe it off. Okay, now this guy's going to go on. And let's see how he goes. Let's see. We'll hook that into there. And we're going to move this arm over out of the way for a moment. And I'll just stick my thumb on it to keep it out of the way. Okay. And we'll set this into place like that. Okay, that's how it's going to sit. Just like that. Okay. And now we can put the screw back in. Okay, and now when we rotate this around, did I do it wrong? I think I did it wrong. Yeah, put it in wrong. Okay, I'm going to put this back in. We're going to set this in place over here and make sure that this arm side over here is over out of the way. I'm going to move this lever up out of the way. I'm going to put my thumb in there to hold it in place. And I'm going to set this in place like this. I got to get it past this foot over here. And then go ahead and screw this back in. Okay, sure that's in. There we go, get that down on there. And now as we bring this around, that's going to want to go past that. There we go, there's the set point. And then there's the bail trip right there. Okay. Nice. All right. Get back over here to the bell wire. We're going to take it back apart for a minute. And we're going to set the one screw, the nut down. And we're going to set the lock washer down. And this guy here is the retaining washer. It's got a concave side that faces towards the roller. And then we've got the roller. And the roller has a plastic insert. Let's see if that plastic insert will come out. It will. Good. Okay, that way we can wipe everything down. Clean this good. There we go. All right, now I've got some corrosion on this, and that corrosion can cause the line to chafe. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this roller and I'm going to set it down on an ice pick right here. And I'm going to take this Dremel tool and we're going to spin it up and try to clean that. And that's all it takes, folks. Look how quickly and easily that cleaned up. I mean, you could sit there forever with a piece of emery cloth or whatever trying to clean that up and not get it that clean. Okay, here's a roller. Let's run it through, clean the inside and outside of it. And now I'm going to put a drop of oil on the post, slide the plastic sleeve in place, put another drop of oil, slide the roller in place, slide the washer in place, and now this is all ready to reattach onto here. But we can't do it yet. I'm going to hold my finger on it to keep it in place. We got to get this to go back in the hole. Which is easier said than done. There it goes, it's going in. Okay, it's in the hole. Slide that one in the hole, there we go. And I believe we are ready. Put the washer on. Put the nut back on. Don't over tighten that because you'll snap it. Okay, there's the trip. As this rotates around, it's going to hit this trip bar right here. And when it hits that, it's going to release that. But for the moment, we're just going to release it by hand and see if we can't start sitting all about putting all this back together. All right, let's start off with the pinion, and it's got the bearing on it. And I do not grease bearings, I oil them unless they're really noisy. Slide that in like so. And then we're going to put this sleeve on. There we go. And onto this, now goes this bearing retainer. And we've got to put these two small, tiny screws in. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, that bearing's a little bit noisy. Let's go ahead and add a shot of oil to here and here And it's still going to stay noisy. That's just the way it's going to be. I could maybe find a new bearing and put it in there, but I'm not. All right. I'm going to oil this axle shaft. And before we do that, let's go ahead and put the rotor back on. Now the rotor is not keyed in any way, so first we'll just set it in place. Okay, once we've got it in place, then we've got this locking plate. Now this is what keys the pinion shaft to the rotor. See how it locks it into it right there? And then once we tighten the nut down, the two are synchronized together. Okay, now they're synchronized. Okay, now if we flip that bail, now when we wind it around, it should hit that post and trip. And it does. Very nice little reel. I really like this thing. If I haven't said it before, I'm going to tell you now. I like this. Okay, now we're going to take the main gear and we're going to grease along the teeth. And because they're helical gears, the grease doesn't tend to like to stay in there very well. It kind of wants to move it. So make sure to lubricate it real well. And once we put it in and start winding it, it's all going to kind of move out of the way. Let's go ahead and oil the main gear. And let's slide it in like that. Now it's going to want to slide in and out, in and out, in and out. So we're going to beat that by putting the handle back on. Okay. Now that axle shaft that I just oiled is going to slide in. And it comes down here, and this gets a little bit tricky on this one. I don't know why, but it does, that hole doesn't tend to want to line up for some reason. And maybe it's just because I got the handle on. I don't know. But it gave me fits last time I messed with it. Okay, let's cheat the system a little bit. See if we can get it lined up this way. Oh, the whole thing rotated on me. Okay. And it's doing it again. There we go. I'm going to put my thumb here to hopefully hold the two kind of locked in place. And let's put the pin in. Nope, that missed the hole. There, that hit the hole. All right, now when we rotate it, there we go. Okay, let's activate the anti-reverse. See if that's operation. And it is. All right, we're ready to put the side cover back on this. All right, all is looking well. Let's put some oil on the knob. And I'll tell you, if you spin your knob and it makes that noise, that's because it doesn't have enough lubrication in it. You need to keep adding oil in there until it quiets down. See there? One more time. That was a very dry knob. There we go. All right. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our spool. Our spool's got a clicker on the bottom. Now right on the clicker cob down here. And if I remember correctly, This has a very, very tight set of springs here. And they do not like to come out. That was even with my thumb on it. All right, that one took off for points unknown. So I've got a Shakespeare here that I'm going to borrow the spring from until that one turns up again. So it will fit. So in the meantime, let's go ahead, take this washer out, and this is what you got. You got a spring washer. You have a keyed washer, sorry, an eared washer, one drag washer, and one keyed washer. All right, and that's the configuration that they sit in there. Okay, spring goes in, eared washer goes in, drag washer goes in, and keyed washer goes in, and then we're going to put this spring in place. And this one will fit. It'll be tight, but it'll fit. The other one was tight too. There we go. Okay. And we're ready to put that spool on. And put the drag knob on. And there's the drag. All right. So there you have the Dolphin Helical Gear 580 with the anodized spool. And anti-reverse is working, anti-reverse override. Works fine. The bail trips. Let's see if it'll trip slowly. A lot of them will trip if you go fast, but some, there you go. Okay, so I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what it is you didn't like about the video. And for now, that's Rick Stivers, the Young Martin's Reels, signing out.